Learners who went for a visit to a national park were amazed by the stars they saw in the dark sky at night. They had different colors and their level of brightness differed. During the day, the sky was bright and no star could be seen. They were also told that it had not rained for about 2 months, which surprised them, since their school was in a wet season. One afternoon, 3 of the learners decided to go for a walk but lost their way. On calling one of the tour guides, he required them to give him an accurate location of where they were but did not know how. Using your knowledge of physics, you have different tasks down here. Task 1 says that help the learners understand why the sky kept changing. Okay, before you proceed, let us first go back to our scenario and identify how was really the color of the sky changing. Okay, we go back. Learners who went for a visit to a national park were amazed by the stars they saw in the dark sky at night. Okay, we have identified that our sky was one, dark during the night. Secondly, the sky had different colors and their level of brightness differed. Now here they are talking of how the stars during the dark sky looked like. The stars had different colors and their level of brightness differed. But to our scenario, our question here wants us to talk about how the sky was changing. We have seen the sky was dark at night too. During day, the sky was bright and at all no stars were seen. Before you answer this, let us look here critically well what really happens in order for us to answer that. We imagine we have a spherical body. This is a spherical body. And we have our source of light. This is a source of light. Probably we can use a torch. Now, when we cast light on a spherical body, we are not seeing two things. One, this sphere, when try to divide it into 2 parts, we are going to see a part that is dark. Secondly, a part that is bright. That is bright. Okay. Now, this part that is bright receives the light from the source, which is the torch, and the other side that is not receiving light is very dark. The same applies to when we have a star, which is our sun now, and our planet Earth. Part of this, the Earth that is lit up by the sun's light receives the daytime. Then the other end that does not receive the sun's light becomes the night. This night is characterized by darkness. Okay. Now we assume these learners during the day, that was how the sky appeared, and during the night, now the earth part of it becomes dark, meaning that it was in the dark region. Okay, now so this one explains cause of day and what? And night. Good. Now, our second task requires us to explain why the stars had varying appearance. Now, let us go back to our scenario. How did the stars look alike? How did they vary? 1. Here they are talking of the stars they saw in the dark at night. They had different what? These stars had different colors. Secondly, their level of brightness differed. Okay, now this means that when you look at stars at night, those who have ever looked at night, this is how stars look. Like you may see star A, star B, C, D, E, and F. These stars are different in appearance in terms of color. Some stars are white, other stars are yellow, other stars are red. Secondly, stars give off light at different levels. Okay, so that is how we want to explain this. Why do these stars have different variations in terms of color and brightness? Before us proceeding, let us look at Sally and Emil. So we have two people here. We have Emil and Sally. So these two people have torches, torch A and torch B. Yes, what is the difference between torch A and torch B? When look here, torch A is bigger than torch B. Now we imagine that torch A is our star, another torch B is also another what? Another star. These two torches are different in size. Now, when look at these two people, torch A is more brighter than torch B. Why? Simply because torch A is bigger than torch B. Now, even stars have the same characteristic, that a bigger star is brighter than a small star. Secondly, when Emil tries to move behind, you try to see that the brightness of her torch keeps on reducing as you move behind, meaning that when we have two stars that are at different distances, we have two stars at different distances, a bigger star is at a near distance than a star that is far away. So a bigger star is more bright. So a star that is nearer the Earth is more brighter than a star which is far away from the Earth. Now we can see our sun, that is our sun, because it is the nearest star on what? On Earth. Its distance to Earth is not as much as the stars that we see during night hours. Okay, so we have stars being at different levels of brightness simply because of differences in what? In sizes of of stars. Secondly, let us talk about color. Okay, we talk about colors. Okay, I've seen stars being red, white, others are yellow, others are red, others are blue. Other stars are what? Are blue. When you look at in the night sky, that is what you can observe. Now, stars are illuminated objects in the sky that are made up of plasma. Meaning that if they are illuminated, they are luminous, they give off heat. Now, the quantity of heat a star produces determines its temperature. Star A and star F have different levels of hotness. Now, stars do vary in colors simply because of their differences in what? In white stars appear hotter than red what? Red stars. So here star A is white simply because it is hotter than star what? Star F in terms of temperatures. Okay. So you can say stars appear in different colors simply because of their differences in what? In temperature. Secondly, the amount of hydrogen. So we all know that all stars produce their energy by a process of nuclear what? Nuclear fusion. This involves the reaction of hydrogen what? Hydrogen atoms. The more hydrogen a star has, the more energy is produced. This energy is in terms of what? Of heat. Now, the more heat produced, the more temperatures the star will what? Will have. So stars do appear in different colors simply because of differences in temperature and the difference in the amount of what? Hydrogen the stars have. Now our next task requires us to help the learners understand why the park they visited and their school were in different seasons. Okay, now before we attempt this, let us go back. What are these seasons that they are talking about? Okay, we begin with here. They were also told that it had not rained for about 2 months. So it not being not raining means that this was a dry spell, which is a dry season, which surprised them since their school was in a wet season. So you are going to explain why we have a dry season and we have a wet season. One of the most important factors that drives us to changes in seasons is the sun's rays that hit a given area on Earth. Okay, we all know that the Earth revolves around the sun. That is the Earth's revolution. It moves around the what? The sun on its orbit. Secondly, this Earth is tilted at a certain angle towards the what? The sun. That is the Earth's tilt. When you look critically, this Earth is tilted at a given angle. This is 23.5 degrees. Now it is the Earth's tilt that determines how much light is going to be falling over a given hemisphere from the what? From the sun. Now I have the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Now if the northern hemisphere is tilted, this is the northern hemisphere. If it is tilted towards the sun, we are going to expect this to experience what? Summer. Then the southern hemisphere is tilted away from the what? The sun. This region is going to experience with winter. Now winter is characterized by rains. It is also characterized by coldness. Now under winter we experience shorter days than what? Than nights. Then under summer we experience heat. Why do we experience heat? Simply because of the rays that hit directly that region. Next, we experience longer nights than days. Okay, so the reason as we have a difference in seasons is simply because of the Earth's revolution around the sun, and probably that inclination or tilt of the Earth on its axis that causes variations in the sun's rays that strike a given area on Earth. And lastly, we have been told to help the learners determine their location. Remember, as these learners on one afternoon, they decided to take a walk, but they lost on their way. On calling one of the tour guides, he required them to give him an accurate location of where they were, but they did not know. Okay, those who have smartphones, as you try to move around, you have the GPS system on your phones. You have the GPS system. Now these learners can turn on the GPS system. This is global positioning system. It is a system that enables us to find the locations of any area where we are. So these learners can turn on the GPS system such that they can get located where they are. To sum up item 1, what were your expected responses? So you are expected to say the color of the sky kept on changing because of the rotation of the Earth. When the Earth is facing the sun, there will be daylight, hence the sky being bright. When it is facing away from the sun, there will be no light, hence a darker sky. So that was how you are supposed to answer part A, how the sky was changing. So part B, you are meant to say stars vary in color and brightness because the variation in color is due to surface temperature. Stars appear in blue, white, yellow, and red in order of reducing hotness. The amount of hydrogen in the star stroke or the edge of the star also determines its temperature. The brightness is due to the size of the star. Big stars are brighter than small stars. Stars that are near also appear brighter than those that are farther. That was our part B. Part C, you are meant to sum up and say seasons are caused by the revolution of the earth and its inclination towards the sun. Then areas that are inclined towards the sun have longer days than nights, higher temperatures, and are therefore in dry seasons. Areas inclined away from the sun have shorter days than nights, lower temperatures, and are therefore in a wet season. Then areas within the tropics have the sun overhead, so they have two seasons, that is to say the wet season and a dry season, while those closer to the poles don't have the sun overhead them, so they have 2 to 4 seasons, i.e. these are winter, summer, autumn, and spring. Then you are meant to say for part D, they would turn on a device with a GPS on them, e.g. a smartphone, a laptop. This device communicates with a network of resistors in the middle Earth orbit. Then we would say the satellites have atomic clocks that measure the time taken for radio waves to move from the device to the satellite. And lastly, you can also say using trilatation, the exact distance between the position of the person on Earth is determined. So that is how you are meant to, or that is how you can sum up the responses of item 1.